My name is Jagger Dodson, and for my speech today, I'll be giving it over electrical safety and related work practices. So, electrical safety is one of the most critical responsibilities in any workplace because electrical hazards don't give second chances. OSHA makes this clear in its electrical standards, especially in 1910, 331 through 335, which require employees to train workers who face the risk of electric shock or other electrical hazards. OSHA states that rules apply to employees whose risk is not reduced to a safe level by electrical installation requirements. In 1910, 303 through 308, that means if someone works on, near, or with electrical equipment, they must be trained and protected. Electrical safety begins with understanding the difference between qualified and unqualified workers. OSHA defines qualified workers as those who have been trained to recognize and avoid electrical hazards and who understand the construction and operation of the equipment they work on. Unqualified workers, on the other hand, must still receive training, but their training focuses on recognizing hazards and staying out of harm's way. OSHA makes it clear that both groups are covered under electrical safety-related work practice rules in 1910-331. I'm sorry, my throat's kind of scratchy today. One of the core requirements in OSHA's training standards is that employees must be trained in the safety-related work practices that apply to their job assignments. OSHA states that workers must be trained in and familiar with the safety-related work practices required by 1910-331 through 1910-335. This includes practice such as de-energizing equipment before working on it, using proper lockout-tagout procedures, maintaining safe approach distances, and recognizing exposed energized parts. So a major theme in OSHA's electrical rules is that energized work should be the exception, not the normal. The safest electrical work is done on equipment that has been properly de-energized, locked out, and verified. When the equipment must remain energized, OSHA requires additional protective measures, including insulated tools, appropriate PPE, and barriers to prevent accidental contact. These requirements are part of the safety-related work practices that every qualified worker must understand. Just to add a little bit more to that, so when I was down in Abilene as a safety specialist, I always told my workers that if you know for a fact that it's not energized, treat it like it's energized no matter what. I said, because at the end of the day, anything could happen. And like earlier in my speech that I have prepared, that electrical doesn't give you second chances on anything. Like, it doesn't matter if it's a little shock, you still got shock. But I mean, anything can happen with electrical, and like, that's why I chose this topic today over electrical hazards and safe practice, is due to the fact that a lot of people do not truly understand like the main safety procedures you have to take with electrical, like LOTO, Toolbox Talks explaining LOTO and why you need to lock out, and like if there's an air gap at a distribution center or substation, you don't know that for a fact unless you physically go see that. And that's what mainly I did in Abilene. I was over the transmission substation unit, and I was also over the gas plant. But I would always tell all the workers, I'd say, no matter what, if you know that it's energized or de-energized, I said, treat it like it's energized. I said, it does not matter. I said, at the end of the day, I want y'all to go home safe. But back to my speech. So another key element of OSHA's electrical safety requirements is hazard recognition. Workers must be trained to identify shock hazards, arc flash hazards, and arc blast hazards. Shock hazards occur when a worker contacts energized parts. Arc flash hazards involve extremely high temperatures that can cause severe burns. Arc blast can create pressure waves strong enough to throw a person across the room. OSHA's training requirements ensure that workers understand that these hazards and know how to protect themselves. OSHA also emphasizes the importance of boundaries and approach distances. Qualified workers must know the limited, restricted, and prohibited approach boundaries around energized equipment. These boundaries determine how close a worker can get and what protective measures must be in place. Unqualified workers must be trained to stay outside these boundaries entirely. Another major component of electrical safety is the use of personal protective equipment, which is PPE. OSHA requires that workers exposed to electrical hazards use PPE appropriate for the voltage and energy level of the equipment. This includes under arc-rated clothing, voltage-rated gloves, face shields, and insulated tools. PPE is considered the last line of defense, but when it's needed, it must be selected and used correctly and properly. Training also covers safe work practice, such as using proper tools, inspecting cords and equipment, avoiding conductive materials near energized parts, and maintaining good housekeeping to prevent slips, trips, and falls around electrical equipment. Workers must also understand the importance of reporting damaged equipment and never bypassing safety devices. Finally, OSHA requires that training be provided before an employee is exposed to electrical hazards and that it must be repeated as necessary to maintain proficiency. Workers must be able to demonstrate their knowledge, not just attend a class. This ensures that electrical safety is not a one-time event, but an ongoing commitment. Electrical safety is ultimately about protecting people. OSHA's electrical safety-related work practice standards exist because electrical hazards are unforgiving. By following OSHA's training requirements, recognizing hazards, de-energizing equipment, using proper PPE, and applying safe work practice, we can prevent injuries, save lives, and ensure that everyone goes home safely at the end of the day. Thank you, and that is it for my speech.